It's always been a little bit of a goal of mine, do something completely different, like totally outside the box. I want to go from dirt to water back to pavement and make it one full circle. And the only place that I could think of to do that I could truly tell the story and not have to fudge the thing, was out in BC at CKMP.
Morning.
Got the coffee going?
Yeah. How'd you sleep last night?
Good, on Ontario time. So,
oh yeah, so you're up 3 hours early?
Yep, slept like a baby.
We're gonna do the XRCs,
yep.
And then we're gonna do the Sea-Doos, the tricks,
yep.
And then we're gonna get on the Rykers.
Absolutely.
Wow, it's gonna be a big day.
Yeah, should be cool. Never done this, but see how it goes.
Yeah, I got a kind of a bit of a route plan that will take us up on side-by-sides. So we'll go through some pretty cool terrain where there's gonna be a rock slide that I haven't been through in quite a while. So I'm not sure how it's gonna go down.
Okay.
So we'll put those RCs to work. And then there's up kind of closer to the top of the Alpine, there's a pretty nasty rock garden. And I never really looked at it that way, but I think we can maybe put the RCs through their paces in there. And I'm interested to see the limits of these things.
Well, we put them to test back home, so I think we could give them a good run for their money and see how that goes. If there's some big boulders up there, we'll have some fun and maybe get stuck, but we got winches on both, so it's good to go.
Cool, and then from there, if we have enough time, I guess we're gonna head down and go catch the Sea-Doos, rip the lake a little bit, and then hopefully get on the Rykers.
After having breakfast and figuring out the route that we wanted to take, we went downstairs. We needed to make sure that we loaded up, water, food, emergency supplies, stuff to start fires, chainsaws just in case trees fell, all kinds of those little things that you just didn't know that you may or may not need. But we wanted to have everything just in case we did get stuck up on the mountain overnight, because we were planning that could be a potential. Carl gave us a bit of a rundown on his big map down in the shop.
So we'll be leaving CKMP, we'll be going up this one. This is the 6-kilometer side hill. There's a rock slide right here. This is kind of where the rock gardens are, right in the crux of in between the two peaks.
Okay.
And then come all the way down on this ridge line, and then we can wiggle our way down, hit this road. This is where we meet the Sea-Doos. Sea-Doo all the way back to Sycamoose. And then from there, we'll hop on the Rykers all the way back up along this cliff band right here. And then we sneak through on this road and we're back into CKMP.
One of the most fun things about being out at CKMP during, summer, spring, or fall is the fact that if you're on 4 wheels, you can blast those logging roads. And they're not, back here in Ontario, I would call them like a fire road. Same idea, except you're on the edge of a mountain, so there's a little more risk involved, but there's epic corners. And if you're going uphill, you can blast those corners pretty much as fast as you want. You're going at them. I was running the X3, Carl was running the Sport 1000R, and we're just going at this stuff. It's locked up, it's sideways, it's giggles and fun. And every once in a while there's a washout and you just kind of, come up to it and jump over it or, rip through it. And then all of a sudden, the trail goes from super wide to Carl takes the side, little side trail that kind of cuts off some area and it goes into tight bush or whatever. And there's, water spraying and mud. And honestly, I think when Carl and I get out and we start, kind of ripping on these vehicles like this, it's a little bit of cat and mouse. We're kind of trying to keep up with each other, trying to get on the guy's bumper as much as you can and just sort of keep pace. Hey, we're both ex-racers from way back in the day on snowmobiles, and we used to race against each other a long time ago. So it's pretty fun when you get out in an atmosphere like this, in a location like this, with somebody who knows the terrain and knows the area.
So one of the areas we were kind of worried about was the rock slide. A few years back when dirt tracks came out, we went up there with ATVs and it was barely wide enough to get through.
This was one area that we'd have to stop and just check out before we go across, because it was kind of like one of those make or break type, really steep areas. And on a mountain like this, you really don't want to go off the side of it.
Well, let's have a look at this. See what the memory brings.
We wanted to be wise, use our heads. We got out, walked around, realized it was totally passable, and Carl had said that someone may have had a small piece of excavating equipment up there. Made sure it was safe and everything was good. So we cruised on past and we're headed up towards this big rock garden that Carl had told us about.
So when we finally got up to the rock garden, and I asked AJ, I said, "Are you sure they can do this?"
I'm like, dude, I think you're gonna be really surprised how much these are capable of doing. Like, we can get through some pretty gnarly stuff. And he said, okay, well, we'll go there and you tell me whether you think it can do anything here. But, you know, at least we'll have a spot that we can pick as a point to make it to for, you know, for our day one. We picked a first line, you know, talked about it, walked the rocks a little bit and just said, okay, well, this one area that I wanted to go, I think is just a little too aggressive and maybe a bit too off camber. Definitely don't want to roll these brand new vehicles. That would be bad. So we picked another line and I just said, yeah, let's do it. And Carl said, all right, well, I'm going to watch first. So I line up to the rocks.
And once I watched the line that he picked to go up through all the boulders, and honestly, it's going over barbecue-sized rocks, you know, like easily. And wow, I was impressed.
Started picking through these rocks and, you know, climbing up, and the tires are slipping just a little bit, but with that, you know, that smart lock diff locked up front and everything getting power to the ground, I know that this thing, you know, is going to go vertical. And I just kept, you know, clawing and slipping and moving and, you know, doing what rock crawling's all about. And, you know, at one point I got right up to the very top and he was helping by putting some rocks in certain places and helping me get a little bit more traction. And then we got to one point where I just got the X3 hung up and realized, you know what, this is the point where we're going to get Carl to help us out. So I thought, hey, if he comes up over the other side of this kind of pile of rocks, we can use the winch off the front of his, the winch off of mine. We can pull me forwards and it'll give him the opportunity to have to climb up to somewhere, and kind of a goal of, hey, you climb up this huge pile of rocks, get to where I am and help me get out of this situation. He first went at it. His run out wasn't as good as mine. If it had tumbled and gone downhill, I mean, it would have been bad. It would have continued to go across the trail and then way down the mountain. So, you know, I just sort of placed some rocks for him. We got his differential locked up. We got him in rock mode. Everything's good to go. And his ground clearance is huge on that Sport XRC. It was amazing.
Yeah, actually the fun part was once you kind of get the machine wedged in there and it won't go anymore, all you really need to do is just back up a little tiny bit, put some rocks, you know, go forward, put a few more rocks, and you kind of build it up so that you have 2 or 3 tires. 4 tires, it'll move for sure, but at least 3 tires, it'll, you know, you can just creep it over, keep creeping it over. You know, one guy's throwing some rocks under the tires and man, it just keeps going and going and going and going.
Vehicle just kept going up and up and up, and that Maverick Sport XRC just kept climbing and climbing and climbing. And finally, he gets up to the top and he's just like, man, this is cool. He was impressed. And I was impressed that he was able to just climb up through that so easily as well. We had to wedge his tire in between 2 big rocks because the angle we were pulling on, I knew the X3 was heavier and was also hung up, so it would have pulled his front end around. Hooked the winch up, pulled me off of where I was. We both were, you know, settled up at the top, and we said, well, you know, it's getting close to lunchtime. Why don't we start a fire, eat some lunch, and kind of talk about where we've got to at this point. Grab some wood from the forest. We had a little chainsaw with us, you know, broke a bunch of stuff up. Maybe some gasoline was involved, maybe it wasn't. But yeah, we had a good time. We started up a fire, warmed up because it was a little chilly up top. And when you're pulling stuff out and, you know, you're lifting rocks and moving things, you get pretty worked up, you get sweaty. But then as soon as you stop working, it gets cold up there. You know, the wind's blowing through the top of these mountains and you're up there a long ways and it does get cold. So, and we just sort of hung around and did what you do when you're out doing stuff like this. Just talk about life, talk about the event, kind of the beauty of it and how cool it is to see places that most people will never get to see in their lives, you know, unless they come out and do something like this. It was pretty cool. It was nice just to kind of have a mellow few moments where we were able to just kind of chat. And after lunch, we said, okay, what's plan B? Because originally we thought we were going to be up here much later. We expected to, you know, maybe stay the night up on top of the mountain and then head down to the Sea-Doos, but we were making way better time than we thought. So our goal was, let's make it down to the Sea-Doos. Let's do this today. Let's get it done. Sun was out, you know, it'd peek behind the clouds every once in a while, but we figured if it's not terribly cold up top, then down below it's definitely going to warm up. And we had lots of daylight left, so the plan was to, you know, get to the very peak of the mountain and then rip all the way down and try to get to those Sea-Doos. it's time to get out on these Trixes. And I've been on one once. We had a 2-seat Trix and a 3-seat Trix. And I got the 3-seater, which was cool. Carl got the 2-seater. And right away, it was just mayhem from the get-go. We were, you know, off with our ride pants, and we had board shorts on underneath, and threw on some life jackets that we had in bags, and it was on. Time to go, time to rip and tear and see what these Sea-Doo Trixes were all about. Was super stoked to be able to go out and just tool around on this thing and have fun. You know, Carl and I both, after getting dirty and muddy and a little bit cold earlier on, we're ready to get out and have some fun on the water.
So I never got to ride the Trix before, so they're pretty cool actually, because you can trim it right up and they'll stand on the end, just like doing a wheelie on a dirt bike or jet standing it, you know, and then it's a balance and you can start to zigzag around, and it's actually pretty fun to balance them up on the end.
Nothing to do but play on these things. I mean, I think maybe we lost track of time a little bit because we both started to kind of look off to the horizon and we're like, wait, when we got down here, like it was midday, but now the sun's starting to go down, and the sun doesn't go down here until like 7 o'clock. I guess we better get a move on, because I think there was something like 12 or 13 miles worth of lake that we had to travel to get back to the docks where we would hook up with our next point of the adventure. However, it was getting late, the sun was going down, and we knew that we needed to put some miles on, so we started to hustle to get back to the docks. So as day 2 would have it, the weather did not hold out and we didn't get sunshine like we had on day 1. It was raining. Great thing was it wasn't pouring rain. And I mean, hey, truth is, we're riding Can-Am Rykers. One of them was a rally edition, which is their new kind of, I'm not gonna say off-road, but you can ride it on gravel, and you know, it's kind of got a more aggressive tire, more aggressive suspension package on it. And so that's the hand that we were dealt. That's the hand that we were gonna play. It's kind of this blending of off-road, on-road, snowmobile, Sea-Doo. It's everything BRP in one vehicle. I mean, it has a CVT. It's not a gear-on-gear, which is very non-motorcyclish. I really didn't know what to expect. It has the 900 Ace motor in it. Well, we found out you hold one button down and all the power comes out, all the stops are off, and it's ready to rip. And sure enough, that is exactly what we did. We found some awesome roads. It was a little bit rainy out. There was some water on the roads, but I'll tell you what, the traction control and stability control on these things is really impressive.
You know, we hit some really cool rural paved back roads, and some gravelly little bits in it, and got across some pretty cool old wooden bridges, and basically got to wrap up coming right back to CKMP and finish off right where we started.
It was kind of a cool feeling to know that we started from there, we finished back at CKMP, we used 3 different BRP products. All 3 of them are just absolutely amazing, amazing products, super fun. And we were able to do it all in one place, tell the true story.
It was really cool to make a loop, you know, where you'd use the side-by-sides, then the Sea-Doos, and then the Rykers to start and finish in the exact same spot. That's what makes a cool story. Can-Am
offer the product to be able to get our hands on those really, really high-end, you know, cool vehicles and take the time to do this. It's something that I'm gonna remember. I've never done this before, and I'll tell you what, I'm gonna wanna plan something similar to this in the future. Thanks for watching Dirt Tracks TV. If you liked the video that you just saw, please click the like button as well as comment below. You can subscribe to our page right here and also ring the bell if you want to be notified of any future videos coming out on Dirt Tracks TV's YouTube page.